Hi everyone, it's Lindsay and this is my first Facebook Live for this Workflow Mastery course and in our Facebook group. And I will be honest with you, this is my first Facebook Live ever. And the reason for that may have something to do with our topic today. I'm going to speak with you for a few minutes about procrastination. So if you have a pulse, if you're living and breathing, if your heart is beating, you've probably come up against procrastination in some form or another. So I want to share with you a little bit about why we procrastinate, to understand kind of the mechanics so that we design a solution that actually works, and also 7 things that you can do to help conquer procrastination. So if you are someone that procrastinates, I would love to hear about it. I'm sure everyone else would be relieved to hear as well. So count yourself in the comments. And if you're willing, let us know what your most recent procrastination topic has been. So why do we procrastinate? So I want to first talk about the brain. It has a little bit to do with our wiring. You know, a lot of people come to me and they'll say, I am a procrastinator. So that's the first clue that you'll be giving me that you see it as a character trait or a personality flaw or a character flaw. And it really isn't. And when we see it that way, like this is just who I am, it makes it very, very difficult to combat. So I encourage you to drop the I am in front of procrastinator, to not identify as a procrastinator. And the first thing I want to tell you about is a little bit about the brain. So in a way, and this has to do with how we think of ourselves in the future. So how does the brain conceive ourselves in the future? So they did a study, as they always seem to do, right? And they had people's brains, they were all, connected up so they could see what was lighting up in the brain. And they had people think about themselves in the future. So either next week, next month, next year, or in 20 years from now. And they found something really, really interesting. And what they found was that the part of the brain that lights up when you're thinking about yourself in the future is the part of the brain that lights up when you're thinking about other people. Interesting. So basically what that means is that there's a separation between who you are in the present moment and who you think you are in the future. And this trick can get us stuck. Now, I want to give you an example from my own life to show you how this mental trick works, and you'll probably be able to see it in your own life as well. I mean, it is what's at play when we say tomorrow I'll diet, or next month I'll start saving money. This is what's at play, this little trick of the brain that separates the present self from the future self. So my story goes like this. This happened a couple of years ago when I first learned about how the brain is wired this way. And for the previous 4 years, I had been having this thought, it would be great to go to a yoga class. I thought it would be an awesome idea for me to go to a yoga class. And of course, I never took action on it. So I just procrastinated on this great idea that I persistently had. And then a couple years into this thought process, a yoga studio opened up a couple, maybe, 5 blocks away from me. And it seemed like that was less of a barrier getting to the yoga class. So that, still I procrastinated. Eventually I went online to their website and I saw that they had a beginner's class. Now this was very exciting to me because I realized another part of my barrier was I didn't want to be in one of those all-level classes and not know what I was doing, even though I had taken yoga classes before. So I signed up for the beginner class thinking also I'm making an investment. I paid my money. So this yoga class started in January And it was a Monday night, and the first yoga class was at 8 o'clock on a Monday night. So I'm all dressed up in my yoga clothes. I have my yoga mat. I am ready to go. I have my coat on. I am ready. And then I have this thought as I'm ready. The class is in 10 minutes. I think, oh, I'll go next Monday. And I caught myself because I had just read about how the brain is wired this way, and I saw the fallacy in my own thinking. I thought that the Lindsay next Monday at 8 o'clock is going to make a completely different decision than the Lindsay right now. And the truth of the matter is, what Lindsay does in the present moment is what she's going to do next week. That's the fallacy we have to address. What we do, we project into the future that we have all of our opportunities but none of our present challenges. So our future self is a little bit like the Instagram version of our present self. So it's all gussied up and perfect and has none of the challenges. So what you can know is the decision that you make now is very similar. You're going to have all the same constraints and issues as you will have in the future regarding whatever this action is that you want to take. And that's why I want to depersonalize procrastination, because partly it's in our wiring. So you just have to learn how to work with that, understand it, and then you'll be able to overcome it. Just the recognition. Oh, you're probably wondering if I went to the yoga class. I did. So just that recognition of the fallacy in my own thinking that I thought I would make a different decision next Monday got me to the yoga class that night, and I continued to go. So another thing that contributes to procrastination is perfectionism. So, and perfectionism, we like to gussy that up and think that it's actually quality. We care about quality. But if you dig into procrastination and what's behind it, most often perfectionism, most often what you're going to find is a fear of making a mistake or exposure. That's what can cause this habit of perfectionism. The other thing that can contribute to procrastination, delaying something, not taking action, is needing to use time as a focus. So sometimes we just aren't able to focus on the topic because it's so far away. It's due date, it's deadline, whatever. So it's not always a bad idea to make something a tighter time frame in order to create focus. And then some things, when we're procrastinating, we might discover just shouldn't be done or shouldn't be done right now. And we could have sort of valid reasons for procrastinating. So you have to kind of dig in and see why am I procrastinating? Is it because, do I really need to be doing this? And is this the right time to do it? So 7 things that you can do. So we've just talked about a little bit about the why of procrastination, how our brain is wired, how we relate to our future self in our own brain. Focus, and also that something shouldn't be done right now, that it's actually legit to be procrastinating. So a few things that you can do to uproot procrastination. So the first thing is to remind yourself that you in the future are exactly the same as you are in the present. That may sound depressing, but it really isn't. It will give you power, because where your power is only ever in the present moment. You cannot make future actions. It is impossible. The only way that you can make future actions is in the action that you make today. So remind yourself that the future you is going to make the same decisions as the you right now, right here. So if you want to make a different decision in the future, make a different decision today. Do something different today. So that's the first one. Remind yourself of that reality of the brain. The second is to question it. So ask yourself, why am I doing this? and what meaning does it have for me? So that will start to ignite the neurochemistry of motivation. Meaning does. So if you start to get connected to the meaning that it has, maybe it's lost some meaning for you, see if you can dig in there and design some meaning for what you're doing. So along with questioning it, you also want to ask yourself, is this something that I should be doing? So double check, is this something I really should be doing? And is this the time for me to do it? Because it might not be the time to do it. Is there a better time to do it? What are the benefits of delaying it? And what is the cost of delaying it? And based on all those questions, then what decision do I make? And why is it important to make this decision? So far we have remind yourself of the reality of how your brain works and that your future self will do what your present self does. Question it, make sure it's something that you should be doing and you should be doing now as opposed to later. And then the third one we're getting into, actually, if you've determined now is the time I should be doing it, take a tiny action. So define, I love micro habits. So if you're trying to get into a new habit, make it the smallest possible habit. For example, let's say you've been wanting to meditate. Instead of thinking I must meditate 30 minutes every day and you keep procrastinating on it, make it 5. Make it 5 every day. And certainly if you want to stay longer, you can. But making it really doable allows you to get over that initial hurdle of this investment in this action. So whatever it is you're doing, come up with the smallest possible action that you can do and do that. And once you take action, just like around meaning, control is another aspect of motivation that stimulates the neurochemistry of motivation. And once you take action, you will start to feel your own impact on something, and that's going to increase your the actual neurochemistry of motivation. That will help you out. Then the next one is, so we have remind yourself, question it, take tiny action. The next one is time box it. So set a timer for a short period that makes sense for what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And just work in that short period of time. Sometimes if we can contain the amount of time we invest in it, we can get moving. If you have a big project and you don't even know where to start, give yourself 25 minutes and just start brainstorming ideas about how you will start. That will get the ball rolling. So time box it, front load it. So that means doing things at the beginning of the day that you may be procrastinating on. So you have this beautiful brain with this prefrontal cortex that's right in the front of the brain, and that's where you do all your thinking work, your conscious thinking work, where you decide things, where you exert willpower, and it fatigues through use over the day. So after it's rested, it's strongest, and with use, it gets more and more tired. So if you take advantage of that good energy of your brain at the beginning of the day, it's easier to exert the willpower that you need to actually do the action. So front load it at the beginning of your day. Stack it. So we have, let's review here. We have remind yourself of the truth about how your brain works, question it, take a tiny action, time box it, front load it, or stack it. So stacking it is, and it will depend on what it is you're procrastinating on, but link the action to other habits that you already do. So if it is something like meditation, link it to, after I brush my teeth, I go and I sit and meditate, or after I prepare a meal, then I do X. Maybe it's the first thing that you do in the morning. After I look at my calendar, I'm going to spend a half an hour working on this project. So stack it with other habits that you already do. And then build it. So this may be something that is time limited or not. It doesn't have to be time limited. I take that back. If you are going to do it over time, you could take a calendar and just mark off the days that you work on that thing. And then you'll start to see this sort of string of of days that you've worked on it, and there's something about that can be motivating. It's motivating. So you're building continuity, and you're actually being able to see that you're making progress in that way. So those are the 7 little tips for you to help to conquer procrastination. Remind yourself of how your brain works, question it, take tiny action, time box it, front load it, stack it, and then build it over time. So I'd love to hear if there are things that you've struggled with related to procrastination, if that's something that's been a challenge for you, and if you have tips of how you've gotten over procrastinating on things. And also, what are you procrastinating on, and what are you going to do to start moving on it? We'll talk to you soon. Take care.